Watching Kyle's unboxing videos again?
Yeah, he always finds the coolest... No way! A robot dog? Gotta ask where he got it.
Or use your Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra. Just draw a circle around the dog on your screen, and it shows you where to buy it right in the app.
Whoa, I just learned a new trick. And that for once, I beat Kyle to the next big thing.
Circle it, find it with the new Galaxy S24 Ultra and circle the search with Google. Get yours now at Samsung.com. Internet connection required. Results may vary based on visuals.
Hello, Duke fans, and welcome to episode 343 of the Duke Basketball Report podcast. It is Monday evening, September 20th, 2021. We are here to do an emergency episode because Duke almost blew the game against Northwestern. No, we are here to do an emergency episode of the Duke Basketball Report podcast because tonight, Duke secured its third, I repeat, Duke secured its third top 10 recruit in the class of 2022 for men's basketball. That's Dereck Lively II. I am Sam Klein. I am your host for this episode. I'm coming to you from Boston. My partners in crime are coming to you from different places. Jason Evans, you were not here for the last show. I will start with you.
Yeah, sorry I missed it, guys. Great job, by the way. I'm so glad that y'all were able to talk about Caleb Foster, a very important recruit. I'm usually the guy who talks about recruits, so you guys carried the mantle without me. By the way, I'm in Sedona, Arizona. I'm not in Atlanta, Georgia right now. My wife and I took a little vacation, a little break, and we're in Sedona. This is amazing. This place is beautiful. It's really, really beautiful.
Amazing. Donald Wine is also here. Donald, where are you?
I'm in a state of bliss because we got Dereck Lively. No, I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio. I am at a bar right now running stuff for a U.S. soccer event that we are doing before the women's national team game. But come on now, Dereck Lively is going to Duke, and I am so ecstatic because all the haters, I hope they had their fun last year. I hope they enjoyed it because that fun is over. We're back. We're loaded. We're ready to go. Let's get into it.
Hey, Sam, can I ask a favor? Can we do this podcast in two parts? Part one, we got to talk about Dereck Lively, of course, but then part two, can we talk about Jon Scheyer, this class? And I mean, I think it's kind of amazing.
Jason, you have read my mind, so we will do exactly that. As we mentioned, Dereck Lively II, he is Duke's fourth recruit in the class of 2022. That's nothing to sneeze at. Duke's third top 10 recruit and the highest rated prospect in the class, at least according to 247 Sports. In the composite rating, he is the number 2 overall player. He is a 7'1" center, and he comes to Duke from Norristown, Pennsylvania. He also comes with an offer list that anybody would be jealous of. Duke was after him, but a lot of the scuttlebutt recently was that Kentucky was after him. North Carolina had given him an offer. So Dereck Lively basically had his pick of colleges, and he picked Jon Scheyer, and he picked the Blue Devils, and he picked to be alongside a class that is really shaping up to be incredible, not just because it's Jon Scheyer's first, but because it is that good nationally. It very well could end up being the number 1 class in the country. So, Jason, I'll let you go first and tell me a bit about Dereck Lively and what he means as a player himself to the Duke program.
So they're numbers. I'm going to give you some numbers, folks. The first number, 5. The number 5 represents the number of block shots per game. 5 block shots per game that Dereck Lively averaged at the Peach Jam, at the big major AAU tournament this spring and summer. That is a stunning figure. And that's what
that's the stupid number, Jason. That's not something like if you played NBA 2K, you wouldn't average 5 blocks a game in NBA 2K. That's a stupid, ridiculous stat.
And it is because of 2 other numbers. Sam mentioned 7'1". The other number is 7'8". Dereck Lively has a 7'8" wingspan. Oh my God. This guy's a rim protector. Look, we currently have Mark Williams, who is a great rim protector. Dereck Lively may be on another level from Mark Williams. Dereck Lively, it's entirely possible, is going to be the best rim protector in Duke history. He, like I said, 5 block shots per game at the AAU level, playing against truly elite talent. The guy he's absolutely in control of the paint. And the really interesting thing about him is this: you would think on a guy like that he would never venture outside of the paint. But the funny thing is, on defense, obviously, Lively just sticks close to the basket and forget about it. You're not getting a shot over him. But on offense, he doesn't have really strong post moves. He's big in terms of being tall. He's not big in terms of being thick and physically strong. And so he doesn't try to score too much in the post. He's going to get lobs. It's going to be lob central. I mean, you toss the ball up, he throws it down. But the place where he's actually really good on offense, ready for it? He goes outside. Dude can hit 3-pointers. In I think it was the quarterfinals or the semifinals of the Peach Jam. He led off by hitting like 4 3-pointers, 4 for 4 3-pointers in the first quarter of their game of the game that his team was playing in. And as a result, they were running away with it very early. This is a guy who has a nice 3-point shot. Not going to be a guy you dump it into in the post, but a really nice 3-point shot. Great shot blocker, good rebounder. And the last thing before I toss it back to you guys, he's so quick. His foot speed is really, truly elite for a guy his size. He is capable of guarding guards. I want to say that again. Duke has a guy who's 7'1", with a 7'8" wingspan, who, if he gets switched on a pick and roll, he can guard a guard. That's how good he is defensively. He's going to be one of the great defensive players, I think, in Duke history. And that's really saying something. I'm not sure Duke has had, maybe since Sheldon Williams, maybe ever, a guy who's going to be able to control the paint and be this kind of a defensive presence. It's really exciting.
Jason, I'm glad you brought up his offense on the heels of his defense, because I was watching video on Lively, but then I was reading the scouting summary on 247, and he is compared by one of the recruiting analysts over there favorably to Tyson Chandler as sort of similar on the defensive end to Tyson Chandler and more of an offensive threat. So we are looking at offensively gifted Tyson Chandler as a comparison for Dereck Lively. That is a guy that I want on my team. Donald, I need you to chime in here.
Yeah, I was literally going to mention that very same thing. If he could have stopped at comparison to Tyson Chandler, I would have been like, yo, that's awesome. Let's do it. But Tyson Chandler with more offense. And here's the thing, Jason, you mentioned about the fact that he can guard guards. The thing that I've seen a lot in his videos is that he can literally be one defensive step away. If he's under the basket and he takes one defensive shuffle step, he's at the 3-point line. Like, that's very rare that someone can do that, and to do it quickly is the key here, because again, he can cover a lot of real estate very, very quickly, which means that the opposing team, if they're on offense, they will feel like they have nowhere to go when you have that dude with his arms extended in the paint, because they know that they can't run around him. He will just take one step and he will close off whatever real estate that they thought they had. So that's what really excites me about him. The fact that he is an offensive juggernaut as well, is really cool. But the defensive part of things is it's just one of the great things that we will see is a guy, again, 5 blocks a game is video game numbers. 7'8" wingspan. That's a video game number. That's something that where you create a player. And you're like, I'm just going to make him as tall as possible and with as long a wingspan as possible. And oh yeah, he can do everything. Like, that is incredible. So I'm really looking forward to this. And again, I know we're talking about this in a second, but the fact that Jon Scheyer is doing this so early is unprecedented. And I'll explain. I mean, it's really, what he's doing is nothing short of unprecedented right now. Getting 3 guys in the top 10, and he hasn't even coached the game yet.
The thing that I'm excited about is how Lively potentially fits in with the rest of the recruits. There is some overlap with Kyle Filipowski, because I know we want to talk about we want to have the more meta conversation that Donald just referred to. We'll do that after the break about what this means for sort of Jon Scheyer and the program and stuff. But thinking about the rest of the guys on the team, there's an interesting overlap to me between Dereck Lively and Kyle Filipowski. I don't know how much they'll be able to play like extended minutes together, but typically even very highly rated big men like this are not able to average, 30 plus minutes a game, even a program like Duke, even, for guys who are as talented as big men as, say, Jalil Okafor or whoever, most guys are not able to sustain big minutes. So I think that on next year's team, there is room for both Lively and Filipowski, despite the fact that they're both sort of classified as centers.
Filipowski's going to be a stretch for it, Duke.
And that's what I was going to say is that
he came to Duke expecting that be his role. Go ahead.
And so they'll, to the extent that they're able to play together, I think there'll be plenty of minutes for that because they'll both be somewhat limited by being freshmen anyway. And then my guess is that Dereck Lively is probably one and done regardless. So like if Filipowski is sticking around, and we talked about that with one of his coaches, and we've talked about sort of the coverage of Filipowski and how he may be projecting to stick around. If he only averages 15 minutes a game in his freshman season, fine, because in his second year, Dereck Lively won't be there anymore, and it'll go even higher than that, right, Jason?
Yeah. Well, so first of all, I think Kyle Filipowski is going to average more than 15 minutes per game in his freshman season. I think that he and Dereck Lively can be on the floor very easily together, and Filipowski I see as a stronger offensive player. And Lively, of course, is the much stronger defensive player. And I just wanted to mention briefly, Donald we were talking a little bit about how this class fits together. The guy I'm excited about fitting with Dereck Lively is Dereck Whitehead. Whitehead is known as a truly elite defender. You're talking about, and I have to be careful. Obviously, I get into hyperbole. When it comes to Duke players, I get excited. I put all kinds of lofty expectations on them. But I want to be very clear. Virtually everyone says that Dereck Lively is unquestionably the best post defender, best rim protector in the class. Pretty much people all say that Dereck Whitehead is the best wing defender in the class. So Duke is going to have the best wing defender and the best post defender playing together. Oh my gosh. I mean, Duke teams have struggled with the pick and roll in recent years. In the one and done era, we have had big men especially who have struggled a lot in the pick and roll. I don't even need to name all of them, but Vernon Carey, Marvin Bagley. There have been a lot of them who, Duke had to play zone because we had guys who couldn't handle the pick and roll. Ain't going to be the case with Dereck Lively. Ain't going to be the case with Dereck Whitehead. We're going to have guys who really know how to play the right kind of defense, and that's just super exciting. It's a special bunch that Scheyer is already putting together, and he's not even done yet. He's not even done.
And really, when you think about that, Jason, even if we do switch the zone, you have a guy that has a 7'8" wingspan. You have Cal Filipowski, who, is like a Kevin Garnett, where he should probably be listed like 7'3", but he's going to be listed like 7 foot. And you have these guys who literally, if they extend their arms, they're covering an entire paint. And they're like, what do you do when that? You're not going to be able to pass through it. So they're going to have to try and attack him. And that's where if you're attacking Dereck Lively, you're going to lose. Dereck Lively is going to block your shot and he's going to send it down to the other end of the floor.
And Donald, you make a great point about passing around Dereck Lively, because one of the things that people who've watched him a lot really note is that he's incredibly active. He's a guy who has boundless energy on defense. He gets a lot of deflections. He gets a lot of steals. When you try to pass around him, he's apt to get those 7'8" arms out there in a way that makes it so that your pass does not go where it's intended to go.
All right. So as promised, we are going to take a quick break. When we get back, we are going to talk about what this means, not just for sort of the action on the court, but for the program as a whole and for Jon Scheyer's apparent ascendance as an elite recruiter, even before he's formally taken on the role of head coach. Stick around. As I mentioned before the break, we need to have a bit of a meta conversation about Jon Scheyer. And Donald, I'm going to let you kick this off for us. Jon Scheyer has now secured 3 top 10 commitments in his first class. He's got a 4th commitment in Jaden Schutt, who we talked about recently is rocketing up the recruiting rankings. And he has a couple other offers out to 5-star players that are still outstanding. He's achieved all of this before Halloween of the year before he takes over as the head coach.
Sam, it's not even October yet. He's achieved it.
Yeah, he almost did this before Labor Day.
I was picking. I was just picking.
Day.
I was just picking the next holiday. I mean, he's had a big haul since Labor Day. Donald, what do you make of this?
Like I said, it's unprecedented. I mean, I think Seth Davis on Twitter was like, name one coach who did this in his first year. And Jon Scheyer is not even in his first year yet. Like, that is a really big accomplishment.
He hasn't had his first day on the job.
He hasn't had his first day. They haven't rookie hazed him as a coach yet. Like, all the ACC coaches haven't got together and made him get the coffee at the media day. Like, he hasn't gotten to that point yet. And already people are literally sitting there going, oh crap. Like, what did we get ourselves into? Remember when everybody was real scared about what he could do? And we said, hey, the recruiting trail, we're going to be okay. It's very clear from the get-go, we're going to be okay. And oh yeah, he's already secured a top 10 recruit in next year's class, in the class of 2023, and that just happened a week ago. So he's doing it all, and his coaching staff is on point. I mean, again, you have Nolan Smith stepping in as an assistant coach, and he's pulling recruits. Like, this machine that we have built is not stopping anytime soon. So that's what Duke fans should be super excited about. Now, of course, there's questions of, you get all the talent, but can you coach them? We'll find that out in year one. But the thing is, we get to find that out in year one because he has the talent coming in. That is a major, major accomplishment for such a young coach.
He hasn't. Let's be clear about something. There is not a single player that Jon Scheyer said, I really want that guy, and he didn't get him. That's not true of all the other coaches out there. John Calipari, who was supposed to be taking over as the new number one recruiting guy out there because Coach K was retiring. Calipari had it for a little while, then Coach K became the man. And everyone's like, oh, K's retiring, Calipari's going to take it back. Calipari wanted Dereck Lively. But you know something? About a month ago, I think Calipari started to suspect that Jon Scheyer was going to win this battle because Calipari offered a guy named Adam Bona, who's like a top 15 center. Adam Bona's a great recruit, but you can't have Adam Bona and Dereck Lively on the same team. And when Calipari offered Adam Bona on August 20th, I said to people who would listen to me, I was like, Duke's getting Dereck Lively. This is amazing.
So there's two things about Dereck Lively. One, he is the very first guy to get a scholarship offer from Jon Scheyer after he was named the head coach. The other thing is that when you're the number one guy and you have that feeling of, hey, you're the guy I want, right? That's an incredible feeling to be the first person offered by a coach. And Jon Scheyer has really, all these things that he's done, he's been very meticulous about going after guys that he knows will shape his class and kind of shape the style of basketball that we think he's going to play. Jaden Schutt, he was one of the first guys in on Jaden Schutt. And Jaden Schutt may finish in the top 20 before this year is done. That's how fast he's rocketing up. So this class, as great as it is right now, could be even better. And again, when it comes to other teams like Kentucky and UNC and all those, but they probably thought we were going to have a drop off for a couple of years. A drop off ain't happening. And so all of them have got to be just scared to their boots because if they can't out recruit a player who has not coached a day yet, then what are they going to do when he actually gets his feet wet into the coaching part of things?
Yeah, and look, let's be clear. We don't know how Jon Scheyer is going to do when he's actually coaching his own team, when he's deriving strategies, when he's developing players and things like that. But it speaks volumes that these kids who could go anywhere they want are choosing to go with this guy who has never coached a single game in his life. I would imagine, I don't know, but I would imagine that Jon Scheyer has to not just sell these guys on Duke and himself, but sell himself in terms of how he can develop players and the strategy he's going to have and how he's going to build the program. That's a leap that all these other coaches don't have to make when they are selling these recruits. And to me, the significant thing is the fact that all these guys are believing what Jon Scheyer is selling. And that says to me, it must be really, really compelling. And by the way, I want to point out, Scheyer's not done. We have a 4-man class so far that if we get no one else, will probably be the number one class in the land and would set Scheyer up to have clearly a top 5 or so team next year. That's if we don't add a single other player, but he still is very high. There are a couple guys he's still really, really high on. And it looks like he's going to get both of them, Mark Mitchell and JJ Starling, if he does this class rival, some of the greats in Duke history? I'm not going to get into naming all of them, but it starts to be up there with some of the great classes all time in college basketball recruiting, again, by a guy who hasn't even coached a game yet.
One final thing about Dereck Lively, and something that we've seen with all these recruits that have committed thus far under Jon Scheyer. They come into Durham, they make a visit, and then they stop everything else. Dereck Lively apparently cut off all his visits that he was going to do. He stopped talking to all coaches as soon as he got back from Durham about a week and a half ago, and that was it. At that point, a lot of people started making sure they were like, hey, this is exactly what happened with Rick Whitehead, with Jaden Schutt, and with everyone else that he had, and Caleb Foster, all these guys. So once Dereck Lively said, I'm not taking any other visits and I'm going to make my decision, he was expecting to make his decision in like early November. The fact that he said, I'm making my decision next week, everyone knew it was going to be Duke, because it's just like, again, as I mentioned last episode, it's like NFL free agency. We're getting them in the door and we're not letting them go without a commitment. And these guys are actually committing to the point where they are cutting off everything else that they were doing beforehand or afterwards, because they already knew that they were going to make their choice and they're coming to Durham. And
you can look at how much like turnover there's been at the Duke program, and you could think like, oh, it's guys are transferring, guys are leaving early. They're sort of the momentum is slowing down. Like if you wanted to be a hater, you could look at it like that. No chance. I mean, this is as strong as Duke has been in recruiting possibly ever, even with the transition from Coach K to Jon Scheyer going on. And it's very exciting that I think we were skeptical about, I don't know about skeptical, but we were talking about like, what does it mean that Duke is promoting an assistant as opposed to going out and doing a coaching search and getting somebody who's somewhere else? And what does it mean to have that assistant sort of be the coach in waiting for 1 year on the bench? So far, it seems like it's working perfectly well. And Scheyer is doing exactly what a coach of next year's team would be doing, which is locking up all these great players. Jason, I want to give you a final word on this, and then we're going to get out of here.
Yeah, so really quick, I just want to talk about the fit of these guys that we've brought in so far with what we expect to have on the roster next year, as well as the new guys who are coming in. We've mentioned this before. I think it seems pretty likely, impossible to say until the season plays out. I think it seems pretty likely that Jeremy Roach, perhaps Trevor Keels, and probably Wendell Moore will all be back next year. Three guys who are primarily, almost exclusively perimeter players. So the guys that Duke has recruited for next season, yes, Jaden Schutt is a perimeter guy. He's a shooting guard, but I don't think most folks would expect him to come in and start right away at a place like Duke. He'll be a nice instant offense off the bench, outside shooting off the bench. The other guys, Dereck Whitehead is a wing, kind of player. Dereck Lively is a center. Kyle Filipowski is a center power forward. You can see how the fit of all these players just works so nicely for what Duke is going to bring back next season and what they need. And Scheyer has gone out and gotten the top player, the player he wanted at each and every one of these positions. And like I said, there's still a couple other guys still talking about bringing in Mark Mitchell, who is another wing forward kind of player, sort of like Dereck Whitehead, a little bit bigger than Whitehead. So maybe Mitchell is a guy who slips down a little bit more into a forward as opposed to a pure wing. And then the other guy that Duke's really after is JJ Starling, who, if there is anyone in the class who's a better shooter than Jaden Schutt, it's JJ Starling. They're considered the top two shooters in the class. And Starling is a combo guard kind of guy. But again, another player who you wouldn't expect necessarily to come in and start from day one. All of it, I'm just marveling that Scheyer is getting his first choice and that he's making it all fit together so beautifully. I mean, look, we're all excited about this coming season, Coach K's final season. But how can you not also be really excited about what's going to be the first season of the Scheyer era? It is shaping up to be really special already.
The future is bright. The present is bright. There's no reason to not be excited about everything that is Duke Blue Devils basketball right now. It's just astounding to kind of sit there and watch and be able to marvel at all of this. It really is.
The rich get richer. It's good to be Duke. The rich get richer is what
you got money now.
Paolo tweeted that and then deleted the tweet. Obviously, Paolo knew what was coming from Dereck Lively, and he tweeted the rich get richer. And then he had to delete that tweet. And everyone went, wait a second. We know what he's talking about. That was the clue that Lively was coming to Duke. That's what our situation is. It's pretty remarkable.
So we will get out of here on that. We are obviously ecstatic. We are not going to spend time on the football game, which was a roller coaster of emotions. We might get to cover that later this week. But for now, for Jason Evans out in Arizona, for Donald Wine, who is in the depths of his own emotions at the bar, I am Sam Klein. Dereck Lively is a Blue Devil, and so are you. We will be back sometime very soon to talk all about all these things again, because it feels like every week there's a big new commitment for Duke basketball. For those guys, for me, I'm Sam Klein. This has been episode 343 of the Duke Basketball Report podcast. Duke Band, take us home.